Hello everyone. So in today's class, we are going to learn about the resource list for new NPSC syllabus. I have already decoded the syllabus in my previous videos. If you haven't watched those videos, you can go to the Eduversity 2.0 YouTube channel and you can watch those syllabus decoding videos. And in today's class, let us see the resource list for our new NPSC syllabus. But before I take you to the new syllabus, I want you to keep few points in mind. Number one, syllabus and previous year question papers are your first resources. Syllabus is the Bible of civil service preparation. Syllabus is sine qua non, absolute must. You have to remember the syllabus, and previous year question papers are very important. However, this is a new syllabus by the NPSC, so what you can do is like you can go and check out the UPSC question papers, because in the new NPSC syllabus it is clearly been given that the questions will be of the UPSC pattern, so it will help you at least to understand how the NPSC new syllabus question papers will look like. Okay, secondly, keep your sources limited. Less is more. Please don't try to study too many sources for one single subject. You have to keep your sources limited. Less is more. Number three, if you want to develop your base, start with NCERT or simplified coaching materials before the value addition materials. Please keep this in mind, very important. Number four, stick to the resource list, don't deviate. Yes, once you decided the resource list, please stick to that. In the civil service preparation, no matter how much time you take 1 month also, but have a good preparation strategy, then have the resource list ready. Once you have the preparation strategy and once you have the resource list ready, please don't deviate from that, follow that unless you don't get results. Okay, so now let us go and see the GS paper 1 resources. In your GS paper 1, you have the subjects like history, art and culture, geography, Indian society. When we particularly talk about history, ancient, medieval, modern, post-independence, world history. So for your ancient and medieval Indian history, your sources can be, you can study the class 11 NCERT, or you can study the Tamil Nadu State Board books. Many of the successful UPSC aspirants have also recommended the Tamil Nadu State Board book. For the modern history, Spectrum, the most sought out book by Rajiv Ahir, is also a very good book for the modern history. For post-independence, you see Bipin Chandra, all-time favorite. Bipin Chandra you can study. If not Bipin Chandra, Nitin Sangwan is also a very good book. Now for the art and culture, the all-time favorite again, Nitin Singhania. Now Nitin Singhania is a little bulky book, so those aspirants who are studying for the very first time for the art and culture, you may find it little bulky, so you can also check out the class 11 NCERT, Introduction to Fine Arts, and the CCRT. Okay, now going forward to the world history. For the world history, you can study Norman Lowe, or you can also study Eduversity notes or the Vision IS materials. Okay, now the next subject in your GS paper 1 is your geography. If you do not have a good foundation on geography, you can start with the basic NCERT class 6, Our Art, Our Habitat. Then you can study the class 11, Our Environment. Then if not, if you have a good foundation, you can directly study class 11 and 12 NCERT, or you can study the book by G.C. Leong, Certificate Physical and Human Geography. And please make sure that for world geography, you are studying the Atlas, as you will have to, you will need to have a good knowledge of the map. Plus, you can also study the PMFIS. Okay, this site also give very good content, okay, on the geography. And this time, the geography has to be supplemented with the current affairs, because many of the geographical subject topics, okay, are dynamic in nature, so supplement it with the current affair. Now the next subject in your GS1 is your Indian society. Now if you see the topics under the Indian society, diversity, women issue, population, urbanization, poverty and development issue, communalism, regionalism, secularism. So for all of these topics, you can study the Vision IAS notes directly, okay, or if you have purchased the Eduversity resource kit, you can also study the Eduversity resource rate. But please keep this in mind that all of these topics are dynamic in nature, so you will need to supplement it with the current affairs, because in all of these topics you will require the latest data, facts, figures, numbers. Okay, very cardinal. Now let us check your GS paper 2. In your GS paper 2, the first subject is your Constitution and Indian polity. I believe every aspirant know the source for Indian polity and constitution, that is M. Lakshmikant. But in your new syllabus you have to supplement the Lakshmikant with the current affairs, with the editorials, with the press information bureau, then the PRS. And you will also require additional reference, like on some of the topic like local governance you will have to study the second ARC 6 report. Okay, now the next topic on the GS2 is your governance. Now the sources for the governance are, first of all, study either the Eduversity node or the Vision IAS node. Understand about the topics on the governance. Then study the second ARC report on governance. The first report, second, fourth report, 9 report, 10 report, 11 report, 12 report, and then current affairs are very, very important for your governance section. Okay, now let's go to the next topic of the GS paper 2. The next subject of the GS paper 2 is your social justice. Now if you see here, the topics under the social justice are very, very cardinal, like issue relating to poverty and hunger, social sector, health, education, human resources, a welfare scheme, government policy and interventions. These are all dynamic topics, broad topics. So your sources can be, to understand the social justice, you can study the NCERT class 12 Indian society, or you can also study the Eduversity node. If not, Vision IAS will be very helpful to you. Supplement it with the PIB, Yojana, Kurukshetra, all of this magazine. Then the Niti Aayog 3-year action agenda plays a very vital role on the social justice topic. Then study the budget and the economic survey. So this can be your sources for your Indian, social justice. Now the next is, the next topic on your GS2, is your IR, that is international relation. For the international relation, you can study Pavnit Singh, or you can also study Vision IAS node or Eduversity node. Okay, supplement it with the Ministry of External Affairs, okay, for the latest developments. And again, please make sure you study the current affairs on the IR. Every day there are editorials on the India's international relation, right? Okay, so for your GS paper 3 now, okay, the economy. Now Indian economy is a very, very broad subject. You can study class 11 and 12 for the Indian economy. If not, you can also study the Ramesh Singh for Indian economy. Sriram IAS notes are also very good for the Indian economy. Supplement it with the PIB reports, editorial, budget, economic survey, and the current affair is a must for the economy. Now for the environment, in the GS paper 3, NCERT biology, last 4th chapter, 13, 14, 15, 16 you can study. Okay, along with that, not along with that, if not, then you can study the Sankar IAS book directly. We have studied the Sankar IAS. Then PMF IAS, okay, also give content on the environment and the geography, okay, and supplement it with the current affairs. Very important, because these subjects are very, very dynamic subjects, like economy, like your environment, Indian polity. So you will require the current affairs, okay, to be integrated in these subjects. Okay, now going forward, if you see, okay, your next subject in the GS paper 3 is internal security. For the internal security, Ashok Kumar and Bipul, very good book. If not, then Vision IAS books is also very good for the internal security, plus the editorials. Okay, every day you will find the newspapers are flooded with the editorial on the security, right? Okay, and supplement it with the current affair again. Now for the disaster management, your sources can be the Bajiram and Ravi material is very good for disaster management. You have to also study the second ARC 3rd report on the crisis management. Okay, this is very important. During our time we used to study the NDMA guidelines. Even now also many of the aspirants study the NDMA guidelines, okay, National Disaster Management Authority guidelines. Many of the good contents are given here about the disaster management, okay, and supplement it again with the current affairs. Okay, so this is your, okay, GS paper 3. Now if you see here, the next subject on your GS paper 3 is your science and technology. Science and technology is a very vast topic, okay, because there are latest development on the science and technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, right? Okay, but to develop a base, I would recommend that please study the NCERT Biology Class 12 Unit 8, 9 and 10. Then supplement it with the current affairs. Then also The Hindu has a section of SNT section. I would recommend you to please study the science and technology section in The Hindu, okay. Plus please make sure you are reading editorials on artificial intelligence, you know, okay, on you know, okay, your big data, on robotics, you know, okay, and apart from these, you know, okay, please make sure, okay, that you are developing a good note, you are writing a good note for the science and technology, because science and technology is highly, you know, okay, highly dynamic subject, okay. You will require current affair, you need daily notes for the science and technology. In the GS paper 4, you have the ethics, integrity and aptitude, and the sources for your ethics, integrity and aptitude is Lexicon for Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude by Chronicle, okay. You can study this book, and you also have to supplement the ethics, integrity and aptitude with the second ARC report, that is the 4th report, Ethics and Governance, and the second ARC 12th report, that is the Citizen Centric Administration. These are very, very important, okay. Now if you do not want to study lexicon, okay, again lexicon, some aspirants find it, you know, okay, very bulky. You can also study any of the other book, like you can study the Vision IAS book also, okay, or you can also study, you know, okay, your District IAS book on the ethics. This is also very good book, you know, okay, on the ethics, okay. Not necessary that you have to study lexicon, okay. This is just a source that I am telling you, so you can either study Vision IAS, District IAS, lexicon, okay. Now going forward, let us see your GS paper 5, okay, that is your Nagaland. So now if you see here, Nagaland now is 200 mark, guys. So Nagaland will decide the rank. So please know that aspirants, you have to give your time and effort in Nagaland. Now only studying Nagaland polity, economy, history, you know, heritage, society will not do. Now you have to take Nagaland to module 2, module 3, like that. This is just the module 1. In the module 2 you have to study, you know, okay, Nagaland departments, Nagaland home departments, the departments in the secretariat, Nagaland different in the department like industries and commerce, all the Nagaland departments you need to have an idea, you know, okay. Then the roles and responsibilities of those departments. Not only that, you have to study, you know, okay, the Nagaland Sustainable Development Goals, the Vision 2030, annual administrative report, acts and legislations you have to study, like the Municipal Act, Land Acquisition Act, and there are many other, you know, okay, important acts in Nagaland which you need to study. Then you have to study, you know, okay, the government report, latest development, current affairs of Nagaland. So now only studying this Nagaland polity, economy, history, heritage, society will not do. You need to study all of these to get, you know, okay, a good mark, you know, okay, in the Nagaland, because Nagaland will be the, you know, okay, icebreaker. Nagaland will decide the rank, okay. Now going forward, the GS paper 6, that is your, you know, essay writing, okay, essay and your comprehension and grammar. Now you see this, as the syllabus has become UPSC pattern, so what we are expecting is you may get to see philosophical issue plus the essays on current you know, okay, issues as well, okay. So it's very important for you to practice the philosophical essays, okay, philosophical essays. Along with the philosophical essays, you have to study the contemporary issues. Philosophical essays like a friend indeed is a friend in need, all their vendors are not lost, you know, okay. All of these philosophical essays also may be asked by the NPSC for the very first time, as they said UPSC pattern, okay. So if you see the UPSC essays is always like that, right? Or they may also ask you essay on the contemporary issue and the current affair based topics, okay. So please keep this in mind. Now your focus area on the essay essay should be on the structure, argument, example, multi-dimensional analysis and strong conclusion, which we will teach you, okay, when you come for the classes. Now, okay, now if you see here for the you know, okay, comprehension. So for the prelims, you see basically all the mains book will remain relevant, okay. What you can study additionally is you can study the Vision IAS PT 365, or you can also study the Eduversity Advanced Yearly Current Affair, okay, for the prelim. Especially I want to bring your attention to the general science, as the first subject given in the NPSC new syllabus is general science, 30 mark, okay. So for that general science you have to study the Lucent general science book. This Lucent general science book will give you the comprehensive idea about the basics, physics, chemistry, biology, you know, okay, methods of everyday observation, which is been prescribed in the syllabus, okay. So here is your complete, again, the resource list for the prelim as well as for the main GS paper 1 to 6, okay. Before I leave, I want to leave you with this, that success in NPSC is not about reading more books, but it is all about reading the right book, revising it multiple times, practicing the questions, following the current affairs consistently, staying disciplined throughout the journey, okay, very, very cardinal. Lastly, keep resources limited, maximize revision, okay. So the one who revise is the one who write well, is the one who speak well in the interview, and is the one who get themselves in the merit list. Thank you.